Hello, welcome to my workshop and welcome to the show Creations of Clay. My name is Louis Palladini, and tonight I like to do an animal everyone is familiar with. This is another type of whale, but it's called a gray whale, and it's probably about half the size of a blue whale. But it's they usually hang around off the coast of California. It's called a gray whale, and I'll show you how to do that from start to finish. Let me kind of move it around so you can see the what it looks like. You know, like this is a little more rounded, you know, than the blue whale. It comes up usually and it comes to a point, but this is a little more rounded and everything. But that's what your gray whale will look like when it, and I'm going to show you what types of clay you can use. There's an oil-based clay such as this, which never hardens. I used to use this all the time as a kid, and I'd make a lot of things out of it. Then I'd roll them up into a ball again when I was through with them, and that was the great thing about it, that it was never hardened. Now you have an air hardening clay such as this, which hardens like in a couple of hours or overnight, and then after a couple of hours you can paint it and it's permanent. My preference for the clay is a clay called Super Sculpey, which can be fried in the oven about 275 degrees for about 15 or 20 minutes. And you can drill it, sand it, you can put a tremendous amount of detail. I'm going to show you the size balls of clay we will use tonight. There's actually about 4 balls of clay we're going to be using. I'm going to add a little more later, but for the body, we're going to be using this size right here. And then for the flippers on the side, I'll use these. And then for the tail flukes at the very end, we'll use this size. So what I want to do is show you how we're going to make the whale itself. So we're going to be working on, I'll hold this up right here, we're going to be working on making the body right here, without the flippers and without the tail flukes. So I'll show you how we'll do that. We're going to take this, and we're going to squeeze it in our hands like this. See how I'm doing that? And then what I want to do is I'm lengthening it out. See how this is getting longer? This is actually going to be down where the tail flukes are, and this is going to be the head. But what I'm going to do is just keep working it, squeezing it. It'll take a minute. See I'm doing that with my fingers? So I'm trying to create that rounded look in the front. See that? I'm squeezing between my thumb and my fingers. And we're going to just keep working it like that. And now I'm trying to pull this out a little bit. Just like that. I'm going to do that. See how I'm pulling that out? See now see how the body's really starting to take shape now? This is going to be where the head is, and that's going to be down near the tail. So I'm taking and squeezing it, pulling it out a little more. Just like that. And then I'll flip it around and we'll work on the head a little bit more. See how the front of that head is looking? Just like that. I want to make sure it's approximately the same length. I'm going to lengthen it a little bit more. So I'm pulling this out this way, and then I'm squeezing it. So what I want to do is this here, see I'm kind of pinching this together? I kind of want to make that somewhat flatter on the top. See how I'm doing that? Just like that. And then on the bottom you can do it a little bit like that too. So see how that's really coming along? So this is going to be the top part of the body. It's going to be where the tail flukes are going to be. I'll just kind of spin that around. I want to compare that to my other model right over here. And it looks like it's approximately the right size. I just got to squeeze it a little bit more. A little bit more. Let's see. Yep. Now what I want to do is I want to take my thumb and kind of smooth this over a little bit to get some of the imperfections out of the clay. Just take my thumb. See, I'm just taking my thumb and kind of smoothing it over. Just want to smooth it over nicely like that. Just take and rub my fingers along it like that. Just like that. Try to get the imperfections out of the clay. Make it so it's nice and smooth. Just like that. See how we're doing that? Just like that. Okay, that's starting to look really nice. Now I want to make sure, I want to check it again. It looks good. So see how they're starting to look a lot alike? And then, see that? That's going to be the top of the whale. See how that? It's going to start to look really nice once we I got the basic shape that I want. That's the most important thing. The next thing that I want to do is I want to make the tail flukes. These are the tail flukes right here. And what this does, this propels the whale through the water. So when he's going through the water, he's pushing his tail flukes up and down like that. And that gives him propulsion forward. And we're going to be making those. So I'm going to take these two balls of clay here, and I'll show you the shape. We're going to see, I'm taking this and flattening it in between my two fingers. And then I'll show you, we want to create a shape. I'll show you the shape that we're creating. See how this? I'm kind of creating a little tip up here on the fluke. And then I'm trying to flatten this out. But I'm also trying to make this shape right here. See that? And we're going to make the second one exactly the same way. Let me pick this up and I'll show you again. See how I'm flattening this out with my fingers. But then I'm taking my fingers and going from that. So flatten it this way and then go from this side to start to create the shape that you want. So see I'm pinching it that way. And then doing that. I want to see if they're approximately the same size, which they are. See that? I'm just going to just double check, make sure this looks good. Flatten it out. So see how I flattened it? But then that's the shape that you want to create. It almost looks like a little penguin or something. Like it almost looks like it has like a little beak up here. And that would be like the body of the penguin. But that's just to give an example of what it kind of looks like. So now what I want to do is I want to compare it to my other one. So I want to see if the tail flukes are approximately the right size, which they are. See that? And I'm going to take and compare the other one. And, yep, that's about the right size. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to put this right against here. See that? And I'm going to push up against that. So we got that. See what I'm doing there? I'm just kind of pushing up against there. Just like that, to create the tail. So we've got approximately half of it done right now. See how cool that was? Very easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the other side, and I'll do the same thing. I'll take you kind of work see how I'm taking my thumb, my fingers kind of working the clay together, make sure it stays. And what I want to do is compare it to the size of my other one. Looks like it's a little bigger. So what I'm going to do is just kind of take and squeeze this a little, kind of squeeze that a little closer together like that. And then I'm going to take and push this a little closer. Okay, so see how that's starting to look? The next thing that I want to do is create a slight indentation right here. So I'm going to take this thing here and create, there's usually a slight indentation. Yeah, see how I'm doing that? And I'll show you how I'm doing that from the side. See how I'm doing that? Yeah, pretty cool. So the next thing that we want to do, just going to try to work that a little bit more. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to make the flippers. And the flippers are going to go on the side here. So I'll show you the shape that we're looking to make. See these flippers here? We want to make that particular shape there, and then we want to flatten it out. So I'll show you how to do that. We're going to take, and I'm going to take, just kind of flatten these out like I did the tail flukes. But now we're going to start to make that shape for the fins, or the flippers. Just like that. Just going to see that shape that I'm making right now? That's the shape that you want to make. Very simple. When you start to break things down into small steps, it makes it very easy to make the whale. I'm going to make another flipper. So we're going to take, I'll put that down. See, I'm squeezing that there like that, flattening it out. But on the other hand, on the other side, I'm going like this. See I'm doing that? So you're working it from both sides, flattening, and then you're making the shape of the actual flipper. Just like that. Now what I want to do is I want to compare these, make sure they're about the same size, because they are approximately the same size, which is good. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So now, what I want to do is I need to figure out where to place these on the whale. So what I'm going to do is going to compare to my whale here, and I'm going to look, and it looks like the flipper should approximately go right about here. Let me see. Yep. See that? So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this now and just kind of squeeze that in like that. But now what I also want to do is I want to get another little tool, and I want to go from the other side here, and I just kind of want to work this so it's attached on this side too, because I don't want it to break. So you see, I'm just taking that tool and working it like that, making sure I'm putting that clay together on the other side. I want to make sure it's firmly attached. And then I'll take my finger and try to smooth it a little bit like that. And then see, I'll take that and I'll just try to smooth that like that. See that? Now it looks like it was something that actually was permanent on the whale. So I'm going to try to thin this out a little bit. See them squeezing that together? Just like that. See how that looks? And then, like I said, take your fingers, squeeze that together a little bit like that, and it gives it that nice shape. The next thing that I want to do is now we're going to compare and make sure that we're putting it in the right spot. So see that? I'm taking this here and placing it approximately, see how that? Because you want to make sure they're in the exact same spot. So I'm taking and I'm working that in. See, I'm doing that just like that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to the other side again, like I had shown you before. I'm going to take and make sure that that's firmly attached to the body. See, I'm doing that. And then what I'm going to do is just rub my finger along it a little bit right there. Just like that. And then what I'd like to do is we're going to squeeze this a little bit like we did the other one. See that? I'm going to squeeze that a little bit like that. See that? To create that shape there. And then we want to look at them from the side. See how they're approximately in the same location in either side. Looks pretty good. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to add some other features, but what I'm going to do is, so when I can put this on the table, I want it to lie flat. I want to put this down a little bit and just kind of squeeze it into the table a little bit. I'll show you what I'm trying to do. Because I want to make it look like he's kind of coming up to the surface of the water and going like that. So I slightly made a flat indentation on the other side. But one of the things I also want to do too is poke some holes in them, because when he's firing in the oven, this type of clay will crack if you don't make these holes. So I'm putting some holes here. You won't see these because he's going to be on the table or a flat surface. So I made those holes. And then when you fire in the clay, it lets some of the gases escape from the clay so it doesn't crack the clay. So now, the next thing that I want to concentrate on is there's a little dorsal fin here, but then there's some like little ridges here on the back of the whale. I want to work on doing those right now. So what I'm going to do is I have some extra clay over here on the side, and I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to do that. So I want to, you see, I've got to check something. So what I want to do is make sure I'm making that little dorsal fin about the same size. Let's see, I got that. So what I'm doing is I'm going to try to make that little dorsal fin like that in the back, so it's approximately right here that I'm going to place it. See how I just did that? And I'm going to take my fingers and kind of work that into the whale like that. So you go from both sides with the fingers. Up here, just kind of work it in. You want to make it look like it's part of the whale. So so you're not going to see. See how I did that? That's what it looks like from the top, from that side, and from that side. So it's almost triangular in some ways. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to create, I'll hold this up again. See these like little ridges? We're going to put little pieces of clay up there to create those ridges. So I'm going to take little pieces of clay off here and little round balls of clay. And I'll show you. That's going to be small, about that size. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that, but that right there. And I'm just going to place them like right here. So I put that right there. Do the same. I'll make several of them, and I'll place another one right there. I'll place one right there. Place one right there. I get another one right about here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to work those in now. So I'm going to take and push it down a little bit on those. See what I'm doing? So there we got those nice little ridges. I'm trying to see how we did that? Those are nice little ridges. The next thing that we want to do is we have to create the blowhole. That's the way the whale breathes. So we're going to create this blowhole right here. And there's actually 2 little notches there for it to breathe. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a little piece of clay and put it on top of the whale. I'm going to take this. I want to make sure it's approximately the same size. And I'm going to put it right about there. So it's going to kind of push down on it a little bit like that. Just like that. See how I did that? Just kind of take your thumb and go around like that. And then what we want to do is we want to create a couple of little slits for the blowhole. So I'm going to take this here and go like that, and go like that. See how I did that? Very easy to do. Now what we want to do is I want to create the mouth. So what I'm going to do is take this right here, this tool, and we're going to start right here. And I'm just going to want to kind of need to fix this a little bit. Okay, I think I got it right where I want it now. So we got that. And then you go down a little bit, and then you come up a little bit. See how I did that? And we're going to proceed to do that to the other side. So I'm going to come over here, and let me see, I got to make sure you can see what I'm doing. See that? We're going to come down like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and see how I'm going down like that? And then coming back up. So I did that. The next thing that we want to do is create the eye. So the eye is approximately going to be, let's see, I'm going to take this tool and kind of make a little indentation right here. See that? See how we did that for the eye? And just kind of give it a little more shape. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to take and do the same thing on the other side. So the eye is approximately going to be here. So what I'm going to do, take this here. Whoop. Let me see, I got to find one with a bigger, the one that I used originally. Okay, this one here. See how I did that? Just like that. Now, what we're going to do is I want to take some little pieces of clay, small pieces of clay. I'll show you the size that I'm thinking about. It's going to be small. See those two little pieces of clay? They're kind of very, very tiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those into the eyes. So we'll take and I'll put one of these right here. See, I'm putting it right into the eye. Right there. And then I'm going to take and put it in the other one, in the eye that we created right here. So, what I also want to do is where we made that eye, I want to make a go in like this. See how I did that? And then we'll do the same on the other side. So I did that. So now I do want to work on the eye a little bit more. So now the outline around the eye, I want to take the little tool here . See how we did that? We make the outline around the eye. Just like that. And I'll come back over here and do the same on this side. And we did that. And now I want to clean this up a little bit. The mouth. See how I'm doing that? Just like that. Then we're going to come along here and do the same thing. You see how we did that? So now, that's pretty much what you have to do for the gray whale. I want to show you what the completed whale will look like. And when you're finished, this is what the completed great whale will look like. See how it got the nice little ridges on the back? You have that little dorsal fin. You've got the tail flukes here. I'll show you from the side. That's what they look like from the bottom. See how we got that little, there's a little ridge, there's like a little ridge in here that we made? That's what it looks like from the side. But that's, I'll rotate it around and see how we kind of rounded off the front of the whale here? See how nice it is? And then that's what it looks like from this side. And then you can see the blowhole that we made up here with the double notches. And that's what your final version should look like. I do want to thank you for coming to Creations of Clay tonight. And I do look forward to seeing you again next week. Goodbye for now.